Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture on Booleans and comparison operators. So what the heck is a Boolean? Well, Booleans are the building blocks of logic systems, and by learning about them, we pave the way for us to learn much more complicated things down the road. So in this lecture, you're going to learn what a Boolean is and how to create one, and you're also going to learn about comparison operators that allow us to compare two pieces of data and determine something logical about them. So for example, is x bigger than y, or is y equal to z, for example? Those would be some examples where you would use a comparison operator. So by the end of this lecture, you're going to know all about creating Booleans and using comparison operators to get your logic systems up and going. So let's get going. Okay, so what the heck is a Boolean? Well, Booleans are very simple data types and can basically only have two values, true and false. So let's go ahead and create a few Booleans. Let's say we had B is equal to true and C is equal to false. Pretty easy, right? So you can see here that idle has helped us out by turning the Booleans yellow so that we know that we've actually entered a valid value. Now, a common mistake is to spell Booleans all lowercase. So, for example, to have D is equal to true in lowercase like this. Now, you can see that that actually hasn't gone yellow. So if I try that, we're going to get an error, a name error saying true is not defined. So Python's actually looking for a variable called true, which doesn't exist, obviously. But if I did D is equal to true with a capital letter, that will work absolutely fine. Another common mistake that happens amongst beginners is that sometimes they type, let's say we had E, you type true within some quote marks like this. So yes, that is a text that says true, but if you look at the type of E, it's actually a string, whereas we want, like take B, we want bool, right? Type Boolean. This is just a string with the text true inside of it, whereas this is actually a completely different data type. It's a Boolean. This is just a string with the word true in it. So you need to understand that Booleans are a data type in their own right, just like strings, integers, floats. Booleans are also their own data type, and you define them just by typing them, but just with a capital letter. Okay, so just make sure you've got that concept down, and with that we can move on. Now, we don't normally create Booleans just by typing in their value. Normally we get them from doing some kind of logical comparison. So let me show you what I mean. Let me check if 2 is greater than 3. Now for that I need to make a logical comparison using the greater than comparison operator. So the way that I do that is 2 greater than 3. So this is a logical, this is a comparison operator that is comparing 2 and 3 to check if 2 is greater than 3, right? Now if I press enter, it's going to give me back a Boolean that's false. So this is how we normally get Booleans. We do some kind of comparison, and it tells us whether that comparison is true or false. So let's see if we can get the value true. Well, for this, we'd need to give a true, a comparison that was actually true, right? So for that, I could do 2 less than 3, because 2 is less than 3, therefore that's true. Okay, so if I just check the type of 2 less than 3, we see it comes back with a Boolean, because Python is going to evaluate this expression and it's going to give back a Boolean value. So you can see by doing these comparisons, this is actually how we create Booleans normally, rather than just typing them out like we did at the beginning of the video. So we now have got some idea of how we can check whether a number is greater than another. We can check whether a number is less than another. How do we check if they are equal? Well, let's say I wanted to check if 2 was equal to 3, which of course it isn't, but just bear with me. So what we need for this is the equality operator. So now if I tried to just type 2 equals 3, it's going to give us an error because we here have used the assignment operator, right? We've tried to assign 3 to 2, and it says you can't assign to a literal. You can't just make a number equal to another number. That doesn't make any sense. So to check for equality, we need to have the equality operator. And the equality operator is just 2 equals signs together. Okay, so this is an operator in its own right. So now we're checking, is 2 equal to 3? Is it equal to 3? And if we do that, it's going to tell us false, because that's not the case. Whereas if I did 3 equal, is 3 equal to 3 using the equality operator, then what that's going to give is true. So that worked absolutely fine there. So how can I check if two things are not equal to each other? Well, for that, I use the not equal to operator. So what's that look like? Let me just get some space here. Okay, so if the way that you do that is an exclamation mark, then an equals. This means not equal, not equal. So if I did 2 not equal 3, what do you think that's going to give me? If you guess true, then you'd be correct, okay? Because it is just checking, tell me, is 2 not equal to 3? It's going to say yes, right? Yes, it's not that. Yes, that's correct. So here is true. There's only really 2 other operators that that I need to show you, really, and then we've gone through all the comparison operators. So there is the greater than or equal to. So let's say if I did 4 is greater than or equal to 3. What do you think that's going to give? If you guess true again, then you'd be correct, because 4 is bigger than 3, so this makes sense. Any number that's greater than or equal to 3 will make sense. So if I did 3 greater than or equal to 3, what will that do? Again, that's going to give true, right? But if I had 2, if I did 2 is greater than or equal to 3, that's going to give false. Now, of course, as you may have guessed, you've also got the less than or equal to. So if I had 4 less than or equal to 3, what's that going to give? It's going to give false, right? But 2 less than or equal to 3 is going to give true, and same as 3. 3 less than or equal to 3 is going to give true. So there we have it. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to know about Booleans and comparison operators. It's more how we use them that actually makes the difference here. We now know that Booleans only have 2 values. They are true and false. And the way that you tend to generate them is by comparing or making a logical comparison between several pieces of data. So there are a few logical comparison operators. There is the greater than, there is the less than, there is the equality operator. Remember this one, it has to be 2 equal signs and not 1. If you just have 1, you're trying to assign the value to what's on the left, which is not what we want. We want to check whether they're equal, so we need the equality operator. You've got the not equal to. The exclamation mark means not, so you've got not equal. You've got greater than or equal to, and you have less than or equal to. So there are 6 of them. And you know, most of them are quite intuitive, right? The only ones that really might trip you up are these 2 here. So yeah, that's all you need to know there. So the thing that really makes these things come to life is what we've got in the next video, and that is the if statement, which we use to build up logical constructs. I'm not going to spoil it, but it basically uses these comparisons to tell the computer which code to execute when. So I have a quick quiz prepared for you right now, just to check your understanding of comparison operators. And after that, we're going to jump right in to learn all about Python's if statement. So I'll see you in the next video.